I've been thinking a lot about my mother. My mother was a very strong person for me, very loving, very devoted to the family. She had, 8 of us and 2 small children that died in infancy. And she passed away 5 years ago. So now we have our father. His name is Juan Hernandez. And my mom's name was Beatriz Hernandez. So in between my class here, I spent some time with him, and I like to listen to his stories. You know, when he was a young man, he was born in Mexico. And when he was 12 years old, he hopped on one of the trains all the way from Coahuila and landed in Brownsville, Texas. So this Texan family, Perez family, they were astonished, you know, at the way he had come by himself. And so they adopted him into their families. And then when he was a teenager, that's where he met my mother in Brownsville. And then after that, I guess they started dating, and then they got married. And there's 4 of my sisters were born there in Brownsville, Texas. And then when I was about 7 years old, my father decided to come over here to California looking for work. And so we came with him. So my 4 sisters were born in Texas, and then my 2 brothers and 2 more sisters were born here in California. And my dad was a farm worker, and my mom was a housewife. But during the summer months when we were growing up, that was our chance to go and help out in the farm, so we could help my dad, you know, with buying our clothes for school. And we enjoyed being together. I know a lot of people probably don't think much about farm workers or farm labor, but I think that they're very hardworking people. You know, they've done a lot for the United States, and I feel really bad because of the way they're being sort of mistreated, you know, in the fields. They never paid them for what it was worth. And that's the reason I went on to school, became a teacher. And my mom, even though she didn't have a big formal education, she was a rural teacher in Mexico, and she taught the local kids there where she grew up in Mexico. And then it wasn't until I started asking her questions, because I wanted to know more about the reasons, you know, how they had experienced their lives in Mexico. And a lot of it had to do with my grandmother not telling them the right truth, right? That my grandmother had been born in Mercedes, Texas, but during the war between the States and Mexico, they were more or less herded, you know, on a wagon, and my grandmother was like 6 months old. So that's the reason her parents took her to Mexico. In those days, they were illiterate. Her parents didn't know how to write, and they were so afraid of the U.S. Rangers that, you know, they were just, I guess, throwing everything into the wagon and off to Mexico. So I think the reason I went into teaching is because I see a lot of prejudice in the United States, and it's still there.